Iniciar. Something like.
Obrigado, João. Hello and welcome to one more live stream of the behind the scenes of the recording of the episodes of the series Ideas to the World. Enjoy your trip. So, yeah, let's start. So I have here a few videos for today, so let's go on with this. Feel free to subscribe, put a like if you like this type of content. In the middle of the videos or in between the start of the recording of the videos, if there's time, I will answer some questions directly from the audience. If you donate to TypeStream via TypeStream, I will answer directly to your call, and you can also type directly in the chat, say hi, etc. And Joel, which is the person responsible for everything that is beyond cameras, will tell me your comment, and yeah, I can I'll tell and say hi to you. Okay, so we have a few videos here. We can start by Mr. Beast. Joel, tenho o clipe do Mr. Beast. Okay. So yeah, let's start with Mr. Beast then. Hello and welcome to one more episode of Ideas to the World. Enjoy your trip. Let your imagination let you fly like Einstein did. It was a technique that used imagination. Knowledge is limited, but imagination surrounds the world. Yeah, that's it. So today I'm going to react and comment a video of Mr. Beast in the Diary of a CEO, a very famous podcast from United Kingdom. He is going to talk about mental health in a way that it is very polemic, in my perspective, taking into consideration today's society that we live in. Joel, you can put the video.
My mental health was a priority, I wouldn't be as successful as I am. I mean, that's just like a sad fact. Like, I obviously never would have buried myself alive for 7 days in solitary, 7 days on a deserted island, 7 days, blah, blah, blah. Being able to consistently suffer over long periods is like arguably one of the deepest modes. Like, there's a reason no one makes videos like me. Like, not even close, because no one wants to live the life I live. I think there was one year where I was flying like 200 days. Like, I was on a plane. I mean, it was a fuck fest, but you know, to get these videos done. When I wake up tomorrow and I'm gonna be pretty fucking tired and feel like shit, something I always tell myself is, how you feel right now is why no one else does what you want to do or does what you do. And if you push through this, that's just even, you know, more of a reason why no one will ever be who you are. And so it's like, I think being able to push through unhappiness and do things you don't want to do consistently year after year over the course of a decade is like the ultimate advantage. Like, I mean, I think we'll hit 1 billion subscribers, and I don't think anyone will be anywhere near close, because like, once you make a couple $1 million, why would you live the life I live? Like, why? Why would you not take weekends off? Why would you not just film locally, even if it means less views, so you can be on the right time schedule? Why would you not, you know, prioritize your sanity and that kind of stuff? It makes no sense, but that's why no one else does it. My mental health was...
Okay, so very interesting here, right? So Mr. Beast is saying that if he prioritizes his mental health, he will not be able to do the things he does. So I'm going to comment and speculate a little bit on this. So I think the problem about prioritizing mental health these days is that behind that mental health thing, there is nothing more sometimes than immaturity and emotional immaturity. And that means making feel ensure that we are good emotionally, and I mean that in the microscopic level all the time, always, no matter what. And of course, we ideally would want that But taking reality, that is really difficult to obtain. And even though it is possible, what I think it happens in society is that what we get is a later maturity of people, teenagers and young people, because they only go after what they feel at every time, every moment, in every way. And in my opinion and perspective, that can make the normalization of instrumentalization of emotion and delayed maturation, because who the hell only makes whatever it feels at every time, every moment, and demands from us behaviors that we respond accordingly? It is babies, right? Babies and childs, because they are vulnerable. We are able to protect them. But as they progress through life, they got challenges which stress them, of course. Like when we are learning something, it stresses us. Not necessarily, but it is also a way of learning. Stress. Okay, like, oh my God, I have to learn, to go through this material, I have to read, and it is a little bit stressing. And that stress is part of the transformation. For example, I am an introvert, but even being an introvert, I have the competences of an extrovert. I'm able to communicate very well, at least I hope so. And I'm comfortable with making gestures with my hands, so that helps the communication. But I only was able to learn that skill or those skills because once in a time, like 10 years ago approximately, I decided to create a YouTube channel, and then 1 year later actually, I decided to go out in public with very anxious, very stressed, and started to approach people, to talk with them. I started making pranks, interviews, etc. So I was able to develop and become stronger. Because like one way of treating fear, it is to feel the fear and be exposed to what makes us with fear. Here it happens the same thing. If we don't expose ourselves with what makes us fear or anxious, and we only do what we feel at the moment, it is more harder it is more harder for the person to transform and become stronger, meaning with more abilities, with be able to cope with stressful situations and become stronger, and with more reputation, status, and money. And that's also good, and we should have pleasure doing what we want. And of course, we should have reputation and status and money, all right? We want that. That makes us able to have more resources and makes us feel good and also fulfilled, being recognized by my own people, and to have money so I can sustain myself and buy things that make me comfortable, and my child as well, and I'm secure, right? So the thing of only prioritizing mental health, it is good, but at the same time, I think what in our culture is behind it, lots of times, is this thing of you only have to make and do everything that makes you feel good. And to grow, most of the times and not, you should be able to embrace things that are very uncomfortable. So you transform, like exposure therapy to losing fear. And some laws and some movements in our culture, politically especially, and then that reverberates in society and culture. Sometimes we put the people who are showing their emotions in a pedestal, making us feel that we have to adapt to them. Well, but they are not children, they are not babies. When they are full-grown adults, and if they need psychological help, psychotherapy is good. Of course, we should have compassion for people that are going through a bad health mind situation. That it is not very good. At the same time, we should not succumb to the normalization of instrumentalization of emotion, because emotion follows a logic. That means it has a biological function. In babies, it is to make sure that we know that the child is not okay, or the baby is not okay, so we can feed them, help them, or just give me some secure and safety so they can feel good, because they are very vulnerable in that situation. But, as I told you before, part of maturity and the part of and the marks of psychological development are understanding that you are not the center of the world. It is understanding that other people have different views, political views, perceptions, beliefs, axioms, and understand that, comprehend that. And then, of course, emotion is there in meaning of empathy, compassion, understanding. And if the person, and if you only succumb to instrumental emotion, which can be hard for some people to differentiate, and some people then, of course, they are more vulnerable because they were reinforced all the time to only pursue hedonistic emotions and hedonistic pursuit, and what they only feel at the time. So they are more vulnerable and fragile to follow and do what they really want, even if that involves fear, because of course it will involve fear and anxiety. Big athletes, CEO, entrepreneurs, and big figures that change humanity or that are a model for other people, they pass through anxiety, they pass through stress, and they do things anyways. Okay, if they would only succumb to their emotion, oh, I only want to feel safe, oh, I only want to feel good every time, they won't be able to grow as much as they did. Okay, and you become stronger. As I told you, it is like exposure therapy. So in this sense, what Mr. Beast is telling here is that, in my perspective, making what you want is hard, like everything that it is worth pursuing. Normally it is hard, and is definitely a lot better in doing those types of things that he mentioned it than before, meaning now he is stronger than before. There could be a day where Mr. Beast could feel that it is not worth doing those types of things anymore and that he doesn't want. It's also part of growth. Maybe he wants to do other things. But that does not get obsolete the argument that he can do or help things doing the types of things he did better. Because to grow, it involves stress. It's like inherent to life, suffering. It's like you cannot avoid suffering in life, like zero suffering. It is really, really deep to not go through suffering. I think it is impossible, right? Tell me if you, on your entire life, have no suffering, zero. Please tell me, all right? And tell me if you are not instrumentalizing people just so you can feel good, making them act on your own demands because of fear of other people attacking their reputation or you attacking their reputation. And when the person only do what it feels good, it gets to a point that if I feel good in something and what I feel, it is something that contradicts what Joel, my cameraman, feels, there will be conflict. And to grow is to understand both perspectives and to live in commonly. Okay? So, and accept that and understand that and not live in a instrumentalization, emotion way of being in the world. I hope it helps. Please, Mr. Beast, tell me if so. You too. So maybe you start to look at mental health differently. Just to finish, one way to take care of your mental health, it is to engage in situations that are difficult, but you want to do. You want to get that challenge done and you want that for you. Learn things is difficult. Learn social skills, it is difficult for lots of people. But engaging in that, it is what will make you strong and proud of yourself looking back. Also, of course, rest is important, and I'm sure Mr. Beast, even though it was not priority number one, he also rests, okay? You need rest, and you need to feel aligned with what you're doing. If you are aligned with what you're doing, and it is hard, you still feel good or fulfilled, despite the fact that you are not feeling great emotionally while you are doing the thing, but you feel fulfilled. Imagine people that lived before you, 2000 years before. Do you think it was time and space for I will do whatever the fuck I feel? No. Like, this building has to be done, things have to be done, and there wasn't this obsessive movement of attention to what I feel is what I should do all the time at every moment. That is not a path to maturation and psychological development. If you want to have a personal development coaching session with me, you can mark your day on Patreon, adhering to the tier 3, I believe, that's there. And you have a 30-day money back guaranteed to be happy and fulfilled with your results. Because I only want people that feel good and with results working with me. If not, money back, no questions asked. If you want to make questions directly to me, you can also adhere on Patreon, tier 2. If you want to just maintain and give a symbolic support to the channel, tier 1, it's yours. Please, tell me what you know and feel about this topic. Put a like, subscribe if you feel inclined to do that. Thank you, as always. Good luck. How much time, Joel? Quanto tempo?
15 minutos.
Okay. If we have any comments, please tell me, Joel. Se tivermos algum comentário, por favor, diz-me, Joel.
Agora não.
Hello and welcome to one more episode of Ideas to the World. Enjoy your trip. Why people don't like you changing? Well, from the systematic approach or the systems theory, we have a system that it is created when we are in a relationship with somebody, for example. And on that system, there is a circularity of response, meaning if this person does something, this person will react accordingly, and that will make the other person adjust. And that is also called one of the effects of Gestalt, meaning the global system is different than the mere summation or mere plus of the parts. I hope that makes sense to you. So that means that this person changing is not just adding like mathematics and this person still is the same. It's just add that. No. This person changing makes also this person change. The whole is different than the sum of the parts. So, and in the systematic theory, there is also a zone of comfort on the system. This can be applied to families, friends, relationships, and that zone of comfort, it is called emotion comfort zone or behavioral comfort zone. I'm not sure if these are the terms in English, I study this in Portuguese, but you get the idea. So there are zones of comfort emotionally or behaviorally. So that's the norm for the system to be in. So that can mean a default mode of acting out when some information from outside comes in. So somebody gives a compliment to both people. The system and implicitly the norm of functioning, it is to say, oh, thank you. And they get both a positive emotion and it solidifies the relationship. So that's their mode of being, and that's the norm, that's the zone of comfort, let's say, acting out in the world. So they are peacefully, they give positive comments and feedback to each other, and they are acting out in the world. And when one person changes to the point of wanting to move or making move this emotional comfort zone of the system, then the other part will give negative feedback. It will punish somehow socially. For example, saying no in a harsh way, not willing to accept the change of the other person, making uncomfortable questions like, why you're dressing like that? Why are you now watching videos about wrestling if you are a girl? Of course, this is not a good relationship that you learn for yourself, but it is an example and happens, these types of relationships. Okay, so this is the basis also why people do not want you to change, because you are messing with the global system, and that means messing with the other person, because you inherently moving to right change the other person view of the world, meaning they thought you were something, they are expecting you some certain behaviors because of past experiences and because it is the norm and the maintenance of the system having those types of behaviors. So now that you are deviating from their model of the world, of how you act out in the relationship, how it is in the system. So now they are saying to the world, no, this is not how I think things should be, this is not who you are, I do not approve that. Punish so things come back to normal. Now, knowing and understanding this can help to have better relationships with yourself and others. Because if you are not so harsh on others when they change, you are not so harsh on you when you change. And this also means that you are aware of the impulses that can go through you, for example, and the other person is changing. So you can feel, for example, that you have an impulse to give some negative feedback into another person or making them uncomfortable, because other person, it is pushing your limits of the model you have for them in a more individualistic way, not in a more systemic way looking outside. But you can also look from that perspective. And yeah, that's why people don't like you to change. It's like you are messing with their perception of the world. You are saying, A, your perception about B is wrong, I want to do this. So they have to adapt. Adapt equals change. Change equals suffering. Because they were paying attention to something, and now they have to change their inner worlds that were constructed before. And you are saying, no, it's wrong. So they have to change. They might have to think and rethink. So that it is an explanation for why people don't like you to change. Okay? I hope it is useful. Please let me know in the comments. I think the systemic theory, it is beautiful, and it approaches the relationships in groups like a system, seeing it from outside, and how a behavior with a person changes the other if there is not direct interaction. Meaning, me looking to the left messes with Joel, the person in my front right side, even if he doesn't know it, right? Because we are living systems and organisms that have a conjunction of automatisms that we do not understand well. But I hope with this video you now can understand. Again, tell me if this was useful. If you want a personal development coaching session with me, just do it on Patreon. 30 days, or if you don't like money, back. I only want happy people and results, and people with results working with me. Also, if you want me to ask directly to your questions, you can just put in the comment. We have a tier on Patreon for that, but at this time, well, we want engagement, so you can comment and I will probably make a video. If you want a symbolic support to this channel, you also have a more cheaper support, and you have direct content with me and my community on Discord, where we talk about personal development, psychology, whatever you want, with unconditional acceptance and unconditional support. Taking this into consideration, put a like, subscribe, and as always, good luck. Bye-bye.
Atenção ao microfone. Às vezes tocas,
Ok.
depois.
How much time is this video?
Este 10 minutos.
Okay. And the previous one, can you repeat, please?
O outro também foi à volta de 10.
Okay, thank you as well. Now I will start with a clip of Jordan Peterson saying, a good man
Encourager.
Yes. Hello and welcome to one more episode of Ideas to the World. Enjoy your trip. I am a student of psychology is studying in master's degree of psychology, and I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I am from Portugal. Today I will react and comment one clip from Jordan Peterson where he says that good men are dangerous. So let's put a seatbelt and get into this. Put a like for now.
Maybe a man is better when he's a dangerous man who's being good than he would be if he was just a good man who wasn't capable of being dangerous. And I believe that because the best men that I've ever met are very dangerous men. You don't mess with them. Maybe a man.
Okay, so it's interesting, right? Because people are usually not expecting that the good man is somebody that it is dangerous. Normally, if they don't know, they are expecting that the good man is somebody that they can use instrumentally, biologically speaking. Meaning that whenever they want, they will ask and the other person will help, will receive no matter what. And that it is also, when we hear that the first time, something that we want, right? I know that if I ask something to Joel or to somebody, that they will help me. But because we are biological living creatures with autonomous systems that react in ways that persons don't understand, we can get into a point of manipulation, instrumentalization, and devaluing other person that it is being good. Because they are so good. Like the person looks at other like an acquired fact that whenever he wants, the other person is there to help. And it is naive, because it doesn't matter what you ask, it will help you. And Jordan Peterson here makes a great point, because like Nietzsche says that whoever deals with monsters should be careful to not himself become a monster. These philosophers, they are touching in deep truths, and also what it could take necessarily to be a good man. Because a good man is not necessarily that somebody will give you and do to you everything you want every single time you ask them. No. A good man will see through you, in some sense, what you really are up to or doing, and having in consideration the risks of helping you. And he can choose not to help comfortably, knowing that helping you, for example, would make something that it is bad to the world or to himself later. Okay, so for example, if the person gives something to the other person repeatedly, the person will get accommodated to that. And one day that this person doesn't give to the other person what he wants, this person can say, oh, but you give me what the hell I wanted every single time the other time. Why the hell you are not giving me now? And now this person is being punished in this social interaction, and consequently can be reputational damage to him, because now he's saying no to something that this person acquired previously as a fact, which was the other person will help this one no matter what. So the good person is aware of that. It understands the shadow impulses and forces and emotions that goes through the person that he is helping, or at least he is conscious that he can lose when he is trying to help you. Meaning he knows every single day game, or as aware of games that the other person can play when it is helping him. And I will say more than that, he also knows how to defend himself in case that you do that kind of reputational damage. Making sure that he can step his feet into the ground and defend himself. Saying, no, I helped you 100 times, and now you are saying that I don't help you and I never helped you. I helped you 100 times. I don't want to help you now because and in search it is motives and justification. It can be because he's now available to do that, for example. And if you notice, that is more an engaging way of being a good person that you are not expecting. Actually, you probably say that this is not necessarily a good person. But in fact, as Jordan Peterson says, good men are dangerous because they can defend themselves if the other person tries to stab them back. And they are conscious of that can happen, could be the case. So you can take into consideration how many people do things to get into positions of power, no matter what. So they can tell you things, ask you things just on that instrumental way to get power, and then don't caring about you. So a good man pays attention to that and looks carefully to make sure that doesn't happen, or at least that he is shielded from those types of damages, or he is conscious that that can happen. Why? Because it is also protection from himself. Naive men, not necessarily the good ones in this technical way, naive and conformist, to be more precise and correct. There is not very good reputation to win on that, or not many virtues, because the person is conformist. So it is like if there is no power, because the person it is knowing that, because he doesn't see any alternative action. Neither the person could defend themselves if the other person stabbed them in the face, metaphorically speaking. And so that's why good men are bad, right? Not bad. Good men are not naive and they are dangerous. It's because they can defend themselves and making sure that they can be assertive if they want. Because if the person is naive, it can be betrayed. If it can be betrayed, it can be traumatized. If it can be traumatized, is that really a good person, or just somebody that could not know how to act out in the world in a different way? So yeah, I put that in a perspective to you. So we want to help, but knowing that we can say no, we can be assertive and tell why not. So we do not get used instrumentalized by people that are immature and that don't have good emotions. So it is also a shield for themselves and for the own person that it is trying to help other. It is a shield against trauma, a shield against betrayal that can happen, but besides the person know that can happen, it chooses to do so no matter what. And I talked a little bit earlier about the Nietzsche's idea of those who look at monsters should be careful to not become monsters themselves, because we can infer and see sometimes, especially when we are staring at monsters, the intention of those monsters. So if we start to see that, we have a representation on our heads of that. And if we feel that, that can become ourselves, or myself. Because if I see and feel the other person that, is because I have that inside of me. So I have and should make sure that that doesn't grow and become myself, because now I am seeing a way of acting out in the world that I haven't seen yet before. Also, this is why it is interesting to do those exercises with a secure home, meaning a secure sense of self, of who I am, so I can become back to that emotional home of who I am, and not being transformed and start to incorporating and acting out the bad I've seen in others, the shadow and the monster I've seen in others. And it is hard, especially if you are in an environment that it is full of monsters, because inherently we have instincts that makes us understand in a worse or better way how the other person operates, so we can be part of the environment, fulfill our space in the environment, acting out in harmony with others. But if that harmony it is full of shadow and monsters, well, you will become shadow and monster, right? So that's why it is interesting, and that's why those who live with monsters should be aware that they themselves do not become a monster. This is just human nature, right? If I am in a space full of monsters, I am more prone to become a monster because, well, like Kurt Lewin says, behavior equals function of the person in the environment. So if I'm full of monsters around me, I will become a monster because I will be that will be my function on that environment, because the environment, and that also means besides the physical, the socially, will, well, surpass me. That will transcend myself, and I will be able to adapt to that environment, and that DT is not necessarily always good, because we always succumb to the environment. It is really difficult to not succumb with the environment. I hope you liked this video. Tell me if so in the comments, and if you want to work with me, you can mark your personal development coaching session on Patreon right now. 30 days. If you are not satisfied, money back. I only want people with good results and happy working with me. If you want to support the show symbolically, you also have a tier on Patreon for you, where you can access our personal development community. It is small, so we are growing and we need you. Also, it is helpful for me as a psychology student that is studying, so I can dedicate more time to study and less time doing other types of jobs that are not really related to psychology. Okay, so you are also helping to elevate the intellectual content production here in my channel in English. Thank you, subscribe, put a like, and as always, good luck. How much time, Joel?
Back to speed.
Okay, thank you. I think we are doing the videos in a good pace. Every day, 10-15 minutes, I think this is really good. I think those are excellent times for a YouTube video. Okay. I have a video there that says what is to become yourself or something like that.
Why people don't like you?
Oh, that was a video that I was supposed to... Okay. Why people don't like you change, that was a video. Okay. Let me see in my phone which videos we have there to react in English.
Your fault. It just was.
Yeah, but that one, it was supposed to be reproduced, and it is okay, on why people don't like you to change. Because that's exactly what the title says, right? Why people don't like you to change. Yeah. I will just double check. Okay. Okay, put that video playing, and we will replay me reacting so I can add to the video.
Okay.
Whenever you want, Joel.
You go to change your paradigm, and you could have some real serious trouble with people that are closest to you. They don't want you to change. Now think of this. People do not resist change. That's a misnomer. A lot of people say people resist change. That's not true. People resist being changed. When you go to change, the people that you're closest to, you're causing them to change. They've got to adapt to your absence. They've got to adapt to the new you, and they don't want to do that. They want you to stay the same. Then they don't have change. When you change, they've got to adapt to that. They may not be too keen on doing that. You go to change your paradigm, and you could have...
Okay. How much time left do we have?
50 minutos.
Okay. It's enough. We recorded 3 videos, right?
Sim.
Hello and welcome to one more episode of Ideas to the World. Enjoy your trip and use your imagination like Einstein. But today is merely a more technical video. I will ask this question that was sent to me, and you can make yours in the comments, about how I know I've chosen a good psychologist. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology and I am continuing my studies to become a psychologist. So I'm doing my master's degree basically. So how to know how I've chosen a good psychologist? Well, to know if you've chosen a good psychologist, you will feel or at least see this in clinical setting. Unconditional acceptance of who you are, so no matter what, you should feel accepted on that environment, and no judgment. Unconditional support on what you want to do with your life, excluding the extraordinary limits that I think I don't need to say, like doing harm to others, etc. You should feel unconditional support to your personal projects, in what you want to do with your life, if those things are healthy for you and for society. Okay? And in general, they are, right? Because you are there to improve yourself and make what you want, even if that's an entrepreneurship project, a YouTube channel, make your own business, etc. Those normal things, you should be unconditional supported. Not talking about those bizarre things like killing people, etc. No, normal, socially acceptable things. And you should also be able to share narratives of your stories that you feel that they will not be very acceptable and respected. And when I say accepted it is that maybe you are punished by being who you are or who you wanted to be on your environment. So you have to adapt so people don't punish you socially. So here it should be a place where you can share your story, who you are, and feel warmth and feel respected and feel that other person is sensible. After all, you are engaging in the deepest sense with who you truly are, and you are looking the depths of your emotions and essence to communicate really your story, really what's the problem, so you both can solve it. So no judgment, unconditional support, acceptance, and even though it is hard to go to therapy, meaning you are going to process some traumatic experiences, you are going to share things that are very uncomfortable, you'll probably cry, you are going to be exposed to things that are hard, but you should be comfortable going there, feeling and knowing that the other person is there to help you going through that. They will make sure that you know that in a more direct or indirect way, and you should feel that they are always with you. You can also communicate with a psychologist saying if you are not comfortable with something, so you can be assertive with psychologists. It's not like he defines everything inside the session. No. Actually, you can talk and should tell a psychologist if you don't feel very comfortable with something or some things. So you can also adjust his behavior to whatever you like the most. Okay? And if he is not comfortable for any reason, or if he doesn't have the competence, which is always the case, the competence, he can also redirect you to other person. That it is normal. The person cannot have the competence, emotional competence sometimes, to lead with your case. Okay? Some people, they cannot, because they don't have the competence, to work with people that murdered others, because it impacts them a lot. Okay? So the other psychologist cannot have full competence to work with your case, and also can redirect to another person, and it is okay. It is normal, that can happen. It just means that he wasn't competent enough for you. You need a more competent psychologist for your case. To end this video, I want to share with you a personal story of mine of the different psychologists that I visited in my journey also to become a psychologist. I went to a psychologist that I said I wanted to develop my masculinity. Fruit of reading the book No More Mr. Nice Guy from Robert Glover, a licensed therapist from United States of America. And I love the book, really great and awesome. Thank God we have people like Robert Glover talking about these types of nice guy people, which can be women and men, and traits. In my case, I did not identify myself as a nice guy, but some traits I felt I could polish a little bit more and be better. And so yeah, I felt some traits were in the nice guy direction, but I wasn't the nice guy, so I felt I could be helped by some things in the book. And one of the things of the book was saying, develop your masculinity. So I said to the psychologist, this was like first session, I wanted to develop my masculinity. And she immediately reacted in a way that showed really, she was really impacted by what I said. And she said like, it wasn't misogynist that she said, that it is, in Portuguese it is machismo. So it's something like misogyny, but it's not sexism, but towards the man, but towards the woman. That's sexism. We have a different word in Portuguese, but sexism is for both sexes, right? It can be to women and men. So she said that to men, like that's toxic masculinity, that's misogyny. It was something on those lines. Or sexism, but towards women. It's like that it is not good for you if you develop your masculinity. That it is not good. That it is segregating women. That it is not good for society. Overreacted, like really. Like, no, changes this entirely body state. Overreacted completely, taking consideration the rest of our conversation. So yeah, she said, oh no, that's sexism, whatever that word means in English. And yeah, so she immediately neglected what I wanted to meant, because she didn't even know what I mean by masculinity. So she's coming from a place of presumption that knows what I want, a place of her starting from a place of knowing what I mean by masculinity, and that should not be part of psychotherapy. It can be used to communicate understanding, like, oh, I understand what you are being through, so you can connect emotionally in some way and feel safe and connection with the psychologist. But here it is bad, because it is like punishment, like I know what you mean by masculinity and it is not good. It is judging the other person without even ask more details. What it is masculinity for you? Why do you feel that you have to develop your masculinity? Why do you feel it is important to develop your masculinity? Why masculinity is important for you? How do you got to that conclusion? So help me reflect about that. So that was definitely a red flag in psychologists. Overreacting and saying that what I wanted to do with myself was sexism. So yeah, that was definitely a red flag. Unfortunately, it was a center that was related to my university at the time. So it wasn't very good. Actually, I found my university very woke. Not very lots of teachers, but there were definitely politic ideology there. In fact, there is this critical theory or paradigm of critical investigation, something like that in English. Critical theory, critical investigation, which the objective of those type of research is to understand inequalities, and that can be in language. For example, here in Portuguese we have masculine words and feminine words. So we can say, we can refer to some profession in the masculine sense to talk about the global world. But in interactions we don't understand or know that. It's just a word like share. We say share and we know socially that it is every single share. We say professor and we know that it is for every single professor. But in the nuances, if it was a feminine word, it will be professora, ra, okay? So it was like the masculine word to everything. Boys, girls, no matter what. So there is these nuances that for us are normal and people understand, that they want to engage and become equal for everybody, everything equal. So it's like Marxism. Actually, this paradigm research, that I will put the exact name in English in the description or the first comment below. The thinkers of this type of thought that has this type of objective in investigation are influenced by Karl Marx. So they want to horizontalize or to be everything horizontal, because they start from the presumption that every single relationship that exists, it is of power, from boss to employee. So like, I have a girlfriend. No, you don't have a girlfriend, because you don't possess any girlfriend. You are experiencing a relationship, to give an example. So it can get into those type of nuances. And yeah, it's really shit, you know. It's really shit because they are very manipulative and very emotionally attached with these ideologies. And I really have the opportunity and the privilege to see that in clinical setting. I just said masculinity and it was like red flag. Oh, no. That's sexism. You are, John, you are, no. You want to do bad things to the world. No, no, no. So yeah. But that is in universities too, you know. So I saw that in my university it is really bad. But it is what it is. I hope you now know. That's why Jordan Peterson says it is starting to become impossible to be a psychologist. Like, that's an exaggeration. That's maybe an exaggeration in some sense, but the way he pronounces it is useful to bring attention to this type of problem that it repercutes and that I experienced it in a clinical setting as a client, you know. I'm sharing something that the psychologist is saying imminently that it is wrong without knowing what the hell I mean with that. So yeah, I hope you liked the video. Please tell me in the comments if you liked. If you want to support this content, you can do it on Patreon to help maintaining the content production and elevate the intellectual quality of this video. I'm a Sworker student and I have this project which I hope and want to become my main source of income, so I just can dedicate my entire time to intellectual endeavors. And I've written a book already, so please help me to engage this 100% so I can become better, dedicating 100% of my time to this, and also contracting my friend Joel, which is the person behind the camera and the owner of this material, to help me with this project, which he is also studying on university, so we can grow together and help the world, hopefully, and help society to become more conscious of the invisible forces that shape the human behavior. Thank you so much. As always, good luck. That's nice. One more. Done. Joel, remember that we are going to interview Jordan Peterson in 26. You saw the message? 2026, we are going to interview Jordan Peterson. We are coming for you. He comes to Portugal here in 29 and 30 of January. I send him an email and I'm going to send another to see if we can get an interview with him. He's going to Porto and Lisbon here in Portugal, and Porto is the district where I'm natural from. I'm natural from the district of Porto, Marcanaves, small city. So yeah, I'm now here in Aveiro, but small trip to Porto. It's also going to be in Lisbon. Yeah. Okay, how much time was this video, Joel?
15 minutes.
5?
15.
15? Okay, thank you, Joel. That's nice. This one was better than in Portuguese. I liked this one the most, compared to the Portuguese version of this one. So, how I know I choose a good psychologist? It is done. 15 minutes. I like this one. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. How much time we got? Okay, we can do 2 videos really fast. Let's do more 2 videos and then we are done, okay? Nice. Hello and welcome to one more episode of Ideas to the World. Enjoy your trip. Today I will talk about the topic that I have here, that is about a way to look at power, which the narrative that I'm going to present to you, it is influenced by Nietzsche, Sigmund Freud. You can put Alfred Adler a little bit if you want, and I got into it by Carl Jung too, into Alfred Adler. Good psychologists and thinkers and philosophists that influenced 21st century thought. So normally people look to power in a way that doesn't feel good, right? But the power, if translated by other words, can be responsibility, mission of doing something good to the world, vision, fulfillment, love, taking care of people. Really, that's power? Yes, we can look to that as power, and I will enter in also a little bit of Freud argumentation soon. So, Carl Jung, the psychiatrist and psychologist, said this: shadow, power, it is the shadow of love, and love, it is the shadow of power. And the shadow, it is what it is suppressed. It is in the unconscious. You can see it as a double-sided coin. Like, if I'm showing love to you, and I'm showing love, the other face, it is power. Because in every single person that loves and acts in a way that are accordingly to love, the person at the same time, it is winning inherently influence. And that it is a way and form of power, right? It can be social, it can be reputational, and every single thing that you can win by being good and loving. Even the feeling of understanding how the other person knows others and acts out in the world. That gives you a feeling of understanding of other. How the hell that not in the other side of the coin? It is power. It is power. It's the sensation of power, which also, if power is the front face of what the person is acting out in the world, it is also what the person it is looking to. It is the feel of power. Because the objective world is just a representation and a symbolic representation of what the person perceives of insight, power, sensation. That's what drives a person, okay? But what it is suppressed when the person is acting out in the world on the way of power, it is love. It is the shadow, in this case, the taking care of the other person, love. Because we are human beings, so inherently we like to connect. We like to connect soul to soul, and then we get fulfillment from that. I knowing and feel that I understand you, and knowing and understanding that you understand and know me. So we are like one, we are conscious of it, of each other, and we feel fulfilled. And isn't that more beautiful way of incorporating the necessity of power here, that this doesn't even feel good? But unconsciously you can say it is. And you can look to power as a biological instinct, that when it is incorporated in a beautiful way, socially, it becomes these beautiful things that we complement. Responsibility, or mission, love, taking care of other people. Will inherently, when you take care of other people, we have something that at the end of the day we can consider that it is part of power. Influence, resources, reputation, different kinds of things. So yeah, that's a way to look at power, and I think it's very interesting, because when people don't want this is when they don't want to change. They don't have things resolved in the past, so they project into other person right now. But yeah, if you want me to answer some specific questions on what I shared until now, you can put in the comments. I will reply to you while I still can, while I still have time, and the channel is not big yet. So let's go then into the next argument, which is about from more Freudian perspective and in the emotional perspective too. So Freud said that the fundamental force that moved every single human being and the behavior of human beings was sex. Sex. And it is interesting because socially it is impossible to look at the world and talk to other human beings in a way that it is accessible and that we want, where we can perceive this lens of seeing through the world, that everything is moved by the desire of sex. But in an intellectual and technical standpoint, we can find a way where we can understand the argument of Freud. And how this relates to power, well, you'll see in a moment. Some moves on non-verbal behavior of seduction or showing openness and receptivity to being approached, they can also be, some of them, interpreted as an invitation to dance in this interaction in a way that if it doesn't stop, it can end on that type of thing, right? What it stops is in the midst of this action and approach, like social punishment of saying no. But those types of behaviors that we say and we privilege in some sense and say, what a beautiful girl, oh my God, she sexy, seductive, etc. We put that as attractiveness. And what else is that if not power over you? My God, she's so attractive. My God, she's so seductive. My God, she's so persuasive. My God, she's so sexy. Power over you. You are getting to feel whatever she wants to make you feel, even if it is unconsciously, right? Some psychologists, girls, can intentionally make the effort to stop doing types of behavior that can be and considered seductive or an invitation to being approached at. So it doesn't lead their clients to those types and kinds of interpretations. And do studies this non-behavioral thing, books if you want. I think you will understand how you can see how everything in the world can be moved by sex in the human nature. But I've talked into the girl power. Now we can talk in the masculine power, and I will complex a little bit and transcending or surpassing the arguments Freud. So in men you can say it is a stereotypical thing that you associated to men, right? The conquer, the showing toughness as a way of demonstrating that the person is resilient, tough, can lead with situations with competence, confidence, responsibility and ability. And that is sexy, right? We feel compelled by people that are tough, that handle situations well with competence, confidence, resilience, and act according to those basic stereotypical ways of acting out in the world that I think you understand. So, transcending the argument, you can also look to men that are more conformists as a way to look and have power. Stepping aside now, transcending the argument of Freud. Meaning, and this goes back to the first argument of power from Carl Jung. Who shows conformism in a group? It shows that it is aligned to the bigger person, the leader, for example. And that it also gives a certain way of power. It's not the primitive way of power. It's not necessarily the love type of way of power. It is a way of understanding the environment and being adapt to it, knowing how it works. And what the hell is that if not power? If you understand the system, you know how to navigate the system, you know how to manipulate the system if you want, you know how to adapt and interact with the system and the results it will produce. So it's exactly the same thing. Power. Everything is moved to power, the will to power. Every behavior is looking to power in some different way, in a more or less view. So it's just different approaches, right? And we are good and we feel good when, in the fundamental sense, we have power or we feel powerful with our lives, powerful that we can have a little amount of peace that nobody will disturb you. So that's power, right? I know that nobody will disturb me because I said to nobody disturb me. Okay? I know that nobody will pass here, so I feel some power over my place of comfort where I'm here to relax. So yeah, in the part of Sigmund Freud argument, I think you can take the same thing, right? Look to me how I am so competent and I can adapt to the place where I am and do my job and be recognized by the leader. There is always some narrative where you can see through that lens in the world, and of course you can also transcend it. Freud's thinking as a limitation, and I think Carl Jung addresses that really well. And Carl Jung talks about virtuosity, and we have people that came to Earth that we consider that we were enlightened people, so they transcend, in my argument, these types of behaviors. Anyways, this type of thinking from Sigmund Freud is also useful. Carl Jung, it takes things to another level. If you want me to go more depth in that, I can take that into consideration to make the video. In small and fast notice, it is Freud. It's a more primitive instinct way of looking to the world. For example, he said dreams were the unconscious trying to make his from example, trying to kill somebody to alleviate, to feel good. Thanatos, there is Eros and Thanatos in Portuguese. So the destructive impulse, and Eros, the libido, the libido for constructing things and to make things good in the world that could contribute to society. One impulse it is to destroy, other impulse it is to create. That were words of Sigmund Freud. So here we can release some tensions of stress, for example, wishes that were suppressed in the dreams. And Carl Jung had a different approach in dreams. He said that dreams were messages from the symbolic messages from the unconscious, so the individual can awake to those messages and adjust his behavior intentionally. So Carl Jung transcends a lot the primitive instinct type of behavior, while Sigmund Freud focused on it. Sigmund Freud said that there is a fixation of people, for example, in primitive pleasures, like having sex, doing primitive things like having pleasure in making jokes of other people, so laughing off the feel of superiority in modern terms. The pleasure of cutting meat, it was a way of, the more morbid pleasures, morbid unconscious pleasures that the person could have, could be integrated in society by becoming a Cirrhesion, for example. The pleasure of being superior and making jokes of other people, good comedians, etc. But Jung transcends that. So he said, Carl Jung, that this is a fixation. There is a fixation of these types of pleasure, and they find the way of that fixation becomes socially acceptable, and there is only these primitive instincts that we act, and we find ways to relieve things in their appropriate environment. But Carl Jung, no, Carl Jung brings meaning, brings a way where these primitive instincts are transcended, so we act out in the world in a more virtuous way, in a way that there is not any fixation on the past, so that's why I am going to become a psychologist. There is, for example, this wanting of meaning to help others. So it's something that it's an evolution of one. So here it is meaning. I am more mature. And is something more like, of course, to the Enlightenment and to religion. That's one thing also that separates Jung and Karl Rohr and Sigmund Freud, as far as I know. And yeah, so here my unconscious can alert me from behaviors that I'm doing, so I can become a better person, a more sophisticated person, an individual that helps society, that have meaning in its life. And here is just a mere satisfaction of impulses whenever I can. Those are useful. People are more on one side or on the other side, depending on their inner transformational phase, where they are on their path. And I think you can see perfectly that a teenager is more on the releasing type of impulses right now through their impulsive behaviors of sex, drugs, gambling, betting, pornography, etc., comparing to people that are in their 80s, 70s, and they just want to go to other people, meaning I just want my children to be happy, I just want my family to be happy, to be good. There is nothing in Freud right there, right? There is more meaning right there. So it's more fulfilling and is more Carl Jung type of thought, in my perspective. So we can see this in personal development. So I think both are good ways to looking at the world, and yeah, at the end you can also see and look both as ways to power. One way, a more primitive instinctive way of power, meaning now I'm going to feel good and alleviate my primitive thoughts doing cutting and doing seizures. I hope that's the right word in English. And here I am going to look for fulfillment, individuation, becoming myself, and for that I will integrate the other parts of people. So the person won't become tribalist, the person will understand and incorporate the other person. They're fragmented parts that he can accept. He can do that by enlightening the other person's shadow. Meaning, it is looking to the other person, not saying out loud and thinking to themselves, that person is only doing that for that. That person is only doing that to make you believe that X, Y, Z. But no, it is looking to the other person saying, that person believes on that so much that embraces that position in life and want others to think like that. It is normal, right? When people believe in something so much, they want other people to think like them. An example of illuminating the shadow. And it is not saying that it's right or wrong. It is just integrating the other person, and that doesn't mean agreeing with them. That doesn't mean agreeing with them. That just means integrating. I understand. Not I support. Not I support. So yeah, it can be tricky to understand that, because people sometimes think that to not support, you should criticize. Not necessarily. In fact, who adopts more this posture, it is more prone to change the other person. At the end of the day, the person that attacks, it is only activating ego mechanisms of defense in the other person. The person that integrates, it is more prone to create a relationship with other person and then influence them with their acts. And you are expanding your being as you integrate different parts of the other persons, so you can read better the environment. More of the collective unconscious will be relieved to you, and you will be more closer to what we call God, and by that I mean consciousness. So we are going to be more able to understand and read the room, like old people are. Some old people, like 80s, 90s, they all have been through the phases that we've been, and they all read the room pretty well, and they all understand pretty well what we are doing, what we are going through, and they just accept, right? They are not going to say do this or that because we are just going through our journey. Some people, old people, are like that, and that's nice. That's beautiful, right? Old people also have a more developed theory of mind, so they are more able and more asked to understand what you are going through emotionally, what it is on your mind. They have a more astute theory of mind, so they understand you better than you could think of in this place of theory of mind and emotion. Okay, thank you so much. If you want to support this type of content and elevate the intellectual quality of it, help me making this my full-time job, supporting me on Patreon and adhere to my personal development community. I'm a worker student and my work is something that I don't like, so I want to do 100% intellectual work and being compromised with the word is not compromised, being maybe it will get the job done compromised with this type of work, intellectual work. I've written a book. I want to write more. I need time to think, study, share with you these types of thoughts and things. So your support will mean a lot to me, so I can dedicate 100% time to this and to become the best and better psychologist I fucking can. Okay? My friend, I hope you liked. If you also want to work with me, you can mark your personal development coaching session on Patreon too. There's a tab for that. And I also have a tab for questions, but at this time, just put it on comments and I will reply to you. My friend, you know what to do. Like, subscribe. Thank you. As always, good luck. Está feito, Joel. Quanto tempo foi este?
Quase 20.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. A way to look at power 5. Do we have 10 minutes left or 15?
Sim, 12 minutos.
Okay. Let's do this then real quick. I have any video there that is something like what it is to become yourself? No. Okay. Hello and welcome to one more episode of Ideas to the World. Enjoy your trip. What it is to become yourself. Carl Jung answered that question. And the answer it is individuation. That means to become yourself. A single, unique individual, different from the crowd, different from others. And this means integrating your own personal stories on who you are, and that means how you act in the world. So you don't act in the world the stories of other people that they told you. You don't act in the world what other people say how to act in the world. How some president says to you how to act in the world. You are acting in the world accordingly to your own personal experiences. And the more mentally healthy you are, the more your story of life it is congruent with what you say and with what you do. And it is a task for life. Some argue that it is impossible, but it's still worth the work in doing it. Because inherently, when the person is incorporating their information and knowledge from experiences on how they act in the world, they are going to upset some people, they are going to have to be assertive, they are going to differentiate from each other. So they will have to win their space, and that inherently on our society creates friction. It is, for example, being 3 people in this room, and when the 4th person that it is individuated becomes, it is we knowing their aura, who they are, and adapting to his behavior, because we know his function on that environment, meaning we know what he is doing because we know himself sufficiently to believe in his words and in his actions. So we understand how it is that it acts in the world, and it is completely different, like the teenager that says, "Oh my God, I want to go to the gym," and you say, "Oh yeah, good luck, you're not going to enter to the gym," because previously they acted in a way that was not coherent with that. But this guy, you know that what he says, he means it, because he has his story integrated in his narrative, in the way he acts out in the world, in the way he moves, in what he says. These are the people, more approximately, that have the aura. That do you feel when they are present? You feel that what you are going to say to them, they are going to take in consideration, and they are going to take that home with them, and they are going to reflect on that. So it's pretty difficult to become individuated, but it is that, and it is used to treat people in psychotherapy. Carl Rogers said that we had a natural instinct to self-actualization. I hope that's the right translation to English. I'm a Portuguese guy from Portugal, a bachelor's degree in psychology, and that is a way to look of that, to integrate our experiences and knowledge on who we are. So we expand our map to navigate in the world, and we act out according to the map that we know that the world works. After all, how many people do you know that they haven't incorporated their experiences and stories on their being? So their map of acting out in situations are like this instead of being like that. All right? So he also said, Carl Rogers, one of the most profound thinkers that influenced psychology too until today, that is really well cited too, one of the references in psychologists. It is you can call it Carl Rogers therapy. Yeah. So he also said that the more congruent the narrative of the person it is, the more healthier it is, and implicitly. And the job of the psychotherapist, it is to help the person to be more congruent. Because if the person is congruent, it integrated every single story and experience that the person had. And if the person, it has his own story and experiences integrated, then is functioning well, because it surpassed his challenges, or it is accepting his challenges and acting in a way that it is congruent, right? A person that it is just blaming others for his problems is not very congruent, because, well, blaming others for your problems are not really true, and yeah, it definitely won't help you make your narrative congruent, because if the others are responsible for your faults and for what happens to you, they are also responsible for what happens to you of good. So you don't have nothing to take credit for if the others are the ones to blame from the bad things that happen to you. Well, they are also the ones to blame from good things that happen to you. So who the hell are you? Nothing, right? So yeah, you should become yourself. That is really hard, because the normal tendency for the human individual, it is to adapt to the group, and we should do that in some sense. Individuation, it is not a counter-argument to that. But you should integrate the group that you are in a healthy way, not neglecting healthy earlier experiences to just become part of the group and be accepted in the group, okay? So, and this leads to incongruence. For example, I love people from this type of club, from a sports national team. And here, there's a person on the group, very famous in the group, that says that loves a person from, that loves that club from a national sports team. Because this person wants maybe something out of this person or wants to be accepted by that group, the person will act in a way that is not congruent. Because the person will say, oh, okay, that's nice, you like sports. The person will behave in a way that it is different from what it says here. But it was, I hate people that are from XYZ sports team, or I can't tolerate that. And that it is the same for ideology, especially in groups. The more intense emotion there is in groups, the more easy it is for the individual to forget who it is and incorporate and act out the shadow of the group and not the enlightenment of the group. Because, well, the group can also give him some light, but, well, in the narrative that I end up with today, because of my personal experiences too, and for what we have seen in the world and we see, usually the group puts more shadow in people than more light. Accusations, etc. And yeah, and for that to happen, we can also talk in mirror neurons, emotion contagion, thought contagion that happens in groups. So people get blind because if they know they get to act out in the narrative that it is different from the group, that they will be cancelled from the group. And that is all those kinds of things that happen, and they can happen when we are in a group. Okay, that's why we are creatures that some of us at least, those that don't work on these types of on themselves, are very well, can be very sensible to the environment. We all are too, really, in a really, when we want to feel good, in a space that we feel comfortable, we are sensible to what the environment gives us, meaning we want the environment to know us, to respect us, and not make us constantly understanding the behavior of others so we can maintain peace. But that is also needed to be understood and helpful. Okay, that's enough for today. If you want to support this type of content, so I can maintain this content production and elevate the intellectual quality of the conversations and thoughts, please adhere on Patreon, very cheap. You also enter on my personal development community, where I'm there too, so you can talk directly with me if you have luck. And yeah, you help me dedicate 100% of my time to study and share my knowledge and do my intellectual work, because right now I'm studying to become a psychologist, and there's part of me that has to do some precarious work that doesn't want to, because it has nothing to do with who I am and who I want to become. Psychologist, intellectual, man. So you can support on that. If you want a personal development coaching session with me, there's also a tier 3 on Patreon for that. And you have a money guarantee if you, for some reason, want to. Subscribe, put a like. Thank you so much. And as always, good luck. Quanto tempo, Joel?
Minuto para terminar.
É isso. Thank you so much for everybody that has been watching or passed here on the chat, in the video, even if you are looking this in the VOD after the live stream being transmitted. Thank you too. As always, good luck. Feel free to subscribe on YouTube or to support my content on Patreon. For August this month, we are going to do this monthly. I have here my friend Joel, that it is helping me with that. It is the one that it is responsible for me to bringing this type of high quality content in live stream. He has a camera. Most of the things that are here responsible for this show. So help me also hire Joel, because I want. Because right now it is just willingness of him to helping me. Thank you, as always. Good luck.